You're listening to the We Are Libertarians Network. Learn more at wearelibertarians.com.
Welcome to the Boss Hog of Liberty podcast. This is episode number 192 of East Central Indiana's favorite podcast, Jeremiah Morrell. Today I'm joined by co-host Zach Burcham, and I will say he's a co-host today.
Hi.
Jesse Riddle back again. I think this is like 4 out of the last 7 weeks.
It's been a while.
It's been a bit.
It works for Thursday.
And emergency fill-in producer Sara Morrell is over there as well, looking lovely. What are we doing today, Zachary?
We're going to talk about where's our stimulus money round 2. Where's our Biden bucks?
They made a promise.
Yeah. I mean, it sounded imminent and maybe not so much. And then Indiana House Bill 1134. We'll talk about that. That's an interesting development. Some people got scared evidently in the election cycle last year. And then we're going to talk about the news of the week, which is the GameStop bubble, which might be the most amusing thing that's happened in 2021. It's given me hope. And, Florida man wants the Olympics.
Yes. All right. We got to say some thank yous. We just did an awesome Patreon. It was, we gave away Jesse Riddle's home address.
Yep.
And, we talked about our cars, our love of cars.
And
if you launder them or not.
And what kind of car the best tippers drive in the car wash.
It's true.
Apparently.
It's definitely a full Mopar Henry County vehicle.
Yep.
Dodge Ram.
Yep.
Ram truck.
I was like, what are we talking about? But okay.
I always joked in Newcastle if you wanted to commit a crime.
That was a Greenfield.
Like in late 90s in Newcastle, you just do it in a red Dodge Ram Sport.
Yep.
Because there were like 1,000 of them in Newcastle, and you just blend into any parking lot in town.
Every teenager had a neon and every guy had a Ram truck.
Yep.
Newcastle in the 90s. All right. We do have to say thank you to some folks. Zachary, you do this part. You know what you're doing.
Yep. It's nice and toasty in here. Thanks to all the Patreon members who chip in every month to keep the lights on and the heat going. If you contribute $50 or more a month, you get your name mentioned in every episode. So we're going to thank Chris Lamb, Christy Avery, Jonathan Phillips, and Anthony Meyer. Jonathan Phillips is the official sales guide over at Andy Moore. And Anthony Meyer, I'm not sure if Sarah's got that link, but he's still got the GoFundMe going to trying to go independent with his trucking because he's keeping America going.
That's been fun. We've had a bunch of folks from our Boss Hog community jump in and help out Anthony.
I can post that link up in there because I've got it saved in my phone.
There you go. And we got some merch. I wore my my Boss Hog shirt. So you go into if you're watching the chat, you can find all the links in there on the Facebook chat. We do live, and then of course you catch your replays later on. tchimp.com/BHOL1, BHOL2, 3, 4, or BHOL mug. All kinds of different options.
Thanks, Mr. Bowman. Andrew Bowman's been posting those in there. He's been wanting to do it for so long, but he's never got the timing right.
Well, maybe we ought to let Andrew come out here and guest host an episode.
Yeah.
You know, it'd be like a 4-hour round trip adventure, but he'd be welcome. He's got
to bring pickles.
It's not like he's cutting any grass or anything this time of the year.
No, definitely not.
All right. Where's my $1,400, Jesse?
I have no idea.
They got us to vote for this Democrat. He promised that if he got elected and they elected the Democrats down in Georgia, you get your $1,400. We're waiting.
Yeah. I have no idea. I have no idea where your money is.
Should we put like a tracking, an RFID chip on the envelopes?
They should probably just let you know they shipped it out and give you a tracking number.
Just pretend like it happened.
Spangle ever gotten his $600 yet?
I don't know. That is a really good question. I'm gonna assign Sarah the task of checking in on that because I know last week that was a portion of the Patreon that we had gotten the Greg Pence people involved and they were checking on it. So there is a congressman. This is the reason why this is in the show notes. By the way, if you're a patron, you get the show notes delivered into the super secret Facebook group every Thursday at some point during the day. Representative Steve Stilvers of Ohio says that he kind of thinks that if they're going to do this $1,400, everybody wants to hang their own ornament on the Christmas tree, their own little hooks from the government. He says, if we're going to do this $1,400, we need to get something back for it. So
He has a job.
So if you're going to do this $1,400, you need to be vaccinated.
Yeah, I've heard this.
You can't get the $1,400 until you agree to let the needle penetrate the skin.
Nice.
We okay with that, Zach?
No, not really. That's the first thing I thought is that there are some people that literally just can't be vaccinated. So now you're going to have to go through some like medical
we got to have a waiver for the
waiver process. And so congratulations. We just built a 20,000 square foot building somewhere to house the bureaucrats that it'll take to process that. I'm a bureaucrat and I even know that's what would happen. And then
you could take a transfer into that.
Yeah. That's what I want to deal with is people like, where's my money? And then like, there's an actual check coming. And then there's just think about like the first people to be able to get it are retirees who they have their own issues and stuff, but they might not be financially suffering if they're retired because they haven't lost any income. And then the next group to get vaccinated will be all the people that are probably not doing horrible. I mean, I'm not going to generalize the entire groups, and then the last people to get it are going to be like your 20 somethings and your like 30 somethings that have kids. Their kids can't get vaccinated. So how are you going to pull that together with the kid? It just sounds complicated to just put conditions on it. Just send it out or don't send it out.
So no carrot and stick.
No, because if you're sending it out to 330 million people, that gets complicated to evaluate who gets it and who doesn't. And so, who knows? It just sounds, like I said, it sounds like you're going to have to create an agency just to handle it. So,
not the IRS
creating jobs.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, I mean, they can't be coal miners anymore, and they can't work on pipelines.
Yeah, you guys know how to use Excel.
Bureaucrats.
Yeah, I guess you got get some pipeline employees that might be looking for some work, but
you're going to put this call center in Montana somewhere where they're not allowed to do their regular job anymore.
Give me your shovel, and here's a spreadsheet. Just track it in Excel.
So there's also talk from the pundits that they're kind of busy doing the confirmations for the Biden cabinet, and they're kind of busy impeaching President Trump. So by the time they get around to this big bill that's going to potentially include the $1,400 in empty promises, maybe March. They might get to it at the end of February, early March. And then they don't get the money to you. The day they pass the bill, they don't necessarily get the money to you. So you could be looking mid-March or who knows to actually get your money, get your next round of stimmy money.
Is it the same parameters they were using last time?
There's no bill yet. It's all theory. They haven't even sat down to really talk about it.
If they can include the wealthy in this one, that would be great.
Well, as we're going to get into in the later part of the show, some people that used to be wealthy aren't wealthy anymore. So
yeah,
some of them really need it. Their condition is significantly changed from. But the only problem is that they'll look at your last.
That's what I'm saying. The parameters.
Yeah, they'll look at your last tax return. Yeah, those people are like desperately going to try and get their 2021s. Like, can I do some kind of pre-filing so I can show how broke I am now?
Well, that is going to be a bit of a game some folks play, because if in 2019 you qualified, but in 2020
they're going to wait to file.
You won't file until after you get your money. You know, if you made extra money in 2020, but you didn't do as well in 2019,
right? I think
may hang tight.
If they look, I think like there's. Well, I've had at least one friend talk about that, like because they've gotten a raise and they're like, well, if it's going to be this or that, then I'm not going to file my tax
you can
return
have it prepared, but don't mail it in until you know.
Yeah. So you're probably going to, if this is the case, you're going to see like a lot of late tax returns,
and this is very, very likely as well. There are folks that in 2019 were doing very well and they weren't eligible.
Right.
But if you hurry up and file now, as soon as they open up the window and you were out of work and your income went,
there's a lot of people
that's much more likely. And then people who didn't qualify for all of it or any of it at all in the previous cycles, now they'll be able to actually go back and get it.
Yep. It'll probably pan out to be about the same then.
A lot of games and things to work through there. So I don't know. It's almost become predictable enough that folks are counting on the money when they rumor it and everybody says, yes, we're going to give it, that there are people that are like, I might take spring break. You know, I've heard the conversation around the water cooler enough that there are some people that are actually counting on it going, well, if I did have, I got 2.5 kids and they're each going to be worth, what's a kid supposed to be worth this time?
A couple $100.
The last time it was
they were $600.
The first time it was half of what the adults were worth. This last time it was $600 for everybody.
So if it's $2,400 times 2 kids, you could be looking at a life-changing spring.
Yeah, the people that are
Oh, this is per person.
Per person.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
initially they were talking about like $2,000 per person. I think it says before is like
So
the difference between
$5,600 for if you have 2 kids.
yeah, and that's like in honestly that
tax free.
That means we're going to Disney.
Well, when that link got sent, and I think that was my response was fireworks behind the Disney castle.
Was it?
Yeah, but I don't think that's what I would actually do with it. But yeah, that's enough money to get yourself into real trouble with.
Well, that's not just that. There was a conversation, some other Democrats, that this did not make the show notes, but it was in the pre-show discussion as we were deciding what we were going to do. There's another Congress member that is talking about maybe just doing an ongoing $300 a month for any kid under a certain age and $250 once you no longer need childcare.
Yeah, I've heard. Yeah, that's would be like their equivalent to an extension of the child tax credit as well, because evidently people don't claim it as often as they should. And so, yeah, I saw an argument once, and the number I saw was different, but it basically said, yeah, when you, I don't know if they get when their social security number or whatever, but when you have a kid, that social security would start, or I read that same article you did too about the IRS kicking out. Yeah, about like a roundish $300 per kid per month till they turn 17.
That's ridiculous.
You ready to adopt,
Yeah.
Jesse?
Yeah, he was asking. Yeah, I can tell you, I've got a kid that I would sell you, but you would lose money on $300
Just on television.
Dude,
Just on television.
Television consumption.
The whole selling of children is actually a practice in the lower income areas of Indianapolis. I've learned a long time ago when I worked at a specific call center.
There's a lot of paperwork.
Well, so we're used to, right? You can only claim so many children. And so when you had more than that, they would sell that child on paperwork. Like, you know, like say, just file for my kid.
So grandma can claim.
Yeah, whomever, right? Or their friend.
Really?
Yeah, dude. Like
There's nobody checking this?
Apparently not. But yeah, so what they would, and I was like,
Zach, there should be a meeting or something.
Yeah,
dude, it was crazy. It was literally crazy. Like when I was young, in my early 20s, but I'm dealing with a culture I've never been a part of, and I'm like, they're just like, yeah, I gotta have my friend claim my kid, and then what they do is they give me like $300 off of that claim, and they just keep the rest. And I'm like, this is insane. Like everything I'm hearing is insane.
Well, I'm honestly, the first time I read the thing about the monthly thing, I was like, you guys can't do that. You can't just flat rate it. There needs to be a thing where after like 2 or 3 kids, it starts to go down, because
yeah, people are going to eventually.
People will just have kids for the check.
Yeah.
Like, and you think, no, that won't happen, but it does.
And it's
like,
going to be the people we don't want children from.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
That's the whole plot of Idiocracy. But,
Right.
But we're not repopulating very well. Maybe this is the key, Zach.
We don't
Maybe
need
this
to
is the way it's going to
repopulate very well.
We're not replacing ourselves. Our population is we're struggling.
Americans are on the decline.
You need to
for sure.
incentivize the right people to repopulate, though. Is a
I
problem.
did get an update from Chris Spangle. He has not gotten his Trump bucks yet because he still needs to get them the form.
Well, that's his fault.
He should probably hire Larry Daniels.
Yeah, Larry would get the money.
He should probably I heard Larry's a PI. So he probably could get him to get the money back. He knows Trump personally.
All right,
Yeah.
Zachary. Indiana House Bill 1134. You are the one that's never been associated with the Libertarian Party. That's on the show today.
Congratulations, by the way.
So you are the innocent bystander in this that can be the fairness judge. There's a state representative, Ethan Manning, I believe is his name. I think he's out of Indianapolis.
He looks like Peyton.
House Bill 1134, which would require that any governor or U.S. Senate candidate for minor parties, which is exclusively the Libertarian Party at this point. Those are the folks that in the Secretary of State's race land between 2% and 10% of the vote. So the Greens and some of the others are below the 2% threshold, so they are not a minor party. They're just they have a special application every time. The Libertarians are the mid grade, not the premium. They're the mid grade. We're the 89s instead of the 94 octane political party. But they don't have a primary. Representative Manning says he wants to have the same rules to get on the ballot for the Libertarians as the Democrats and Republicans have, where each candidate to get on the primary ballot, even though Libertarians don't have a primary ballot, they would have to get 500 signatures per congressional district. So it's this massive barrier to entry that costs hundreds of thousands of dollars. And he says that it's just because he wants to be fair to everybody else. Now, keep in mind that U.S. Senator Todd Young couldn't even get the 500 votes and had to have a special favor waiver up in the first congressional
Votes
district.
or signatures?
Signatures.
Okay.
Signatures of registered voters in their county, perfectly matching. And this is not like truly just get 500 people in Marion County for that district.
Right.
You need to have about 900 to meet 500.
Sure.
Because some bureaucrat like Zach is going to say, well, it says Zachary K. Burcham on the thing, but they signed Zachary Burcham. They didn't sign that correctly, so that doesn't count.
You get somebody who's in a hurry and signs quick.
And then he used his old address, not his current address, or he's not registered at that address, even though he's a registered voter. So that one doesn't count either as well. So you end up with you lose tons of names.
Yeah.
So the political parties hire a firm to go ahead and do this for them. It's not like you have volunteers that go door to door. They have somebody they pay to go actually get this work for them. So the major campaigns of the chosen candidates do the work. The reason why this got introduced, in my opinion, it's a pretty well generally accepted opinion, is that Don Rainwater did so damn well that they're afraid that he's going to eat into their base. So now magically you have a barrier to entry.
So I have questions, and you were about to say something, so please go.
I think I kind of just somebody got a little upset about what he did in November, and it's payback. It definitely comes off as a little, well, maybe you guys should check yourselves. If you think you're going to do real well, we're going to make this harder for you.
I mean, that is par for the course.
Right. Yeah.
That's how the two parties
majority.
Well, that's just how the two-party system protects itself.
So it passed out of committee, and I think it was due to come in front of the House today, and I have not seen. I was busy doing my day job, so I haven't seen if it actually did pass or get any action taken in front of the full General Assembly today. Passed out of committee, entire line of party line vote. All the Democrats said, this looks fishy, and the Republicans all voted for it. So it's not law yet. It's come out of committee. It'll go before the entire House. They'll vote yes or no. If it comes out of the House, it's going to land in the Senate, and the Senate's going to have to go through the same process. So it's nothing official, but it is.
So I guess I'm confused, though, because you said it's for the primary.
So the same rules that you would have for the primary. So the way this is written, the Libertarian candidate would have to have these signatures
to be on the general election ballot.
To be on the general election ballot.
Okay.
And I don't know if it's determined yet or not. It could potentially be they have to have the signatures before they can even be nominated at convention. So if you had two candidates trying to run at convention, which we've had a number of times, had it for governor this time.
Yeah, you would have
had both of those candidates have to go through the effort of getting on the ballot.
To give you an update on today, it was not called for the second reading. So it may be added to the schedule for Monday, February 1st, but it has not been called to the floor for the second reading, which means they haven't voted on anything yet.
So it's still pending.
Still pending.
Wild times.
So, I mean, to me, it's no different. I was talking to people about this kind of last night to a degree, but, you said it's only for, well, and maybe there are
minor party candidates.
Well, I know, but I thought it was for all statewide races.
I know it would at least count for governor and for.
But what about the Secretary of State?
I don't know.
Because it seems like, because then that's going to be, we would lose, I say we, but I'm not part of the party right now, but the party would lose their party status eventually if they couldn't get those, because we wouldn't be able to run a candidate.
You would have to
lose ballot access. Yeah. So then we're going to be, the LP will be double screwed because they already waste way too much time on the Secretary of State race, in my opinion. And now,
it's your ballot access race.
Yeah. And now they're going to waste every living dollar and a resource on that. And it keeps them busy to not do anything. And the party has its own problems selecting candidates to begin with, but, that's the ballot access is crucial. And that's literally almost, it's kind of like our Achilles heel right now. So
it's a massive anti-competition poison.
Well, the thing I read, I thought it said all statewide races, but I also think that maybe I caught something wrong. So I read something wrong.
Time will tell.
So
if you don't like it, if you enjoyed Don Rainwater and you enjoyed the competition and you were a protest voter or you didn't like the offerings, call your state rep, call your state senator in Indiana. Let them know. It needs to. They need to hear from you. There was a funny amendment. I did see that Representative Kurt Nicely said he offered an amendment that would change it to 498 signatures. instead of the 500.
That's hilarious.
Being the ultimate troll.
Wonder how that came about.
Which that would still not help Todd Young because I believe he wound up at 497. So he still would have missed out as well.
So give him a little help, but not quite enough. I do kind of enjoy when people throw out bills that are obviously there's no intent for them to be serious bills, but they're just statements, and they're kind of funny. But yeah,
that was the Jim Lucas regulating the
press,
regulating the media.
So you said the Democrats were against it?
Yeah, they were against the bill. They were on the Libertarian side.
That's weird.
Well, you want everybody against the Libertarians? At least you could pick a couple of friends.
No, I mean,
buddy.
to me, this is just a local version of what happened with the establishment creating the Commission on Presidential Debates. Like, it's the same thing.
It's a massive barrier to entry, and you act like in the name of fairness, we have to do this for everybody.
Right, and both parties did it to protect their own asses. But
right.
I'm saying, and
honestly,
that's why I'm saying I'm surprised the Democrats were not in favor of it.
You're making the Republicans jump through the same hoop, or the Libertarians jump through the same hoops as the Democrats and Republicans. But you're not giving the benefit of
the primary,
parties.
and that's what they need to start saying.
You're not.
We have to get.
You're not on the primary.
Major party.
You don't get the voter information as to who went to the Libertarian primary,
right?
And you don't get a seat on the election boards,
right?
So if you're going to require the same hurdles of the Libertarians, then you need to give them equal treatment, or else it's unconstitutional.
Yeah. I guess my comment was going to be that the only way this would make sense is if they gave us major party status. And then I'm okay, because now we get to actually talk and it just opens the door for a lot of things, as far as legitimacy in the media and stuff. So,
yeah. So if you're unhappy, once again, it sounds like maybe on Monday, it's going to come before the Indiana General Assembly. There's 100 representatives that'll get to vote on that on Monday. 51 no votes would kill it. If not, it'll move on to the Senate, and they're going to have the same conversation on that side. All right, let's talk about the filet mignon of the week, the game stonks. Jesse, you have you been doing any day trading? Did you do any day trading this week? I finally got into it.
I don't do day trading ever.
I got a little extra HSA money, and I can buy single stocks and TD Ameritrade, and I had a little dividend, so I had like $30.
Nice
to play with. So I bought one share of Express on Wednesday. When I saw that lay this out on Monday of this week, I was on a road trip to Ohio with a coworker, and he said, "Hey, did you see this GameStop thing? This was trading at like $5 last summer, and a bunch of guys on the internet got it to where it's like trading at like $100."
Mm-hmm. Well, it was down to $2.13, I think, in March,
right,
or April this year, or 2020. Sorry,
yeah, and then. It's taken off, Zach.
Yeah, Reddit took over. So I had to read up to see what any of this stuff meant, because I don't do trading or anything. And so it's basically a massive trolling. And I kind of love it. Apparently, a short sale sounds like something that's made up by people just to make money off of nothing. So basically, you borrow a stock that's at $10 and you go sell somebody else's stock. You never owned it. And then you hope it goes down and you buy it back cheaper and then give the person
and you
back
keep the money in your pocket.
You keep the money in your pocket. So it's like saying, "Oh, I'm going to borrow your $10,000 car. I'll sell it and I'll buy it back for $7,000. I keep the $3,000. I'll give you your car back."
You never know the difference.
You never know the difference. I don't know how that just. I mean, it sounds made up with stock. It sounds like a made up game. So some guys on Reddit saw that they had done this with GameStop, and they said.
They were betting on the failure of this company.
Yeah. And
they're like hedge funds.
Yeah, they're hedge funds. And so they said, let's have fun with them. And so they've just proceeded to run the price of GameStop and a couple other stocks up to the point that like they have bankrupted hedge funds to the point where
the people that loaned the stocks out said you have to buy it again
to pay us
reaches
back.
This point.
Yeah, well, there's margin calls, right? So,
and they were so leveraged against it. They're so invested in this loss that it cost like one of the hedge funds like $13 billion. And that's what the hedge fund was worth. So they're just done. And and like I told them, I follow some guys who they don't talk about what they like actively talk about business, but they're hedge fund managers. And not all of these people are like that, but these guys online are the ones that are rolling around in like $2 million cars all the time. And so you're like, what do you guys do? And they're always like, I'm a hedge fund manager. I'm like, oh. And so these guys are all the ones that are now like on the verge of bankruptcy. They're looking for the government to bail them out, and they're getting things shut down so that people can't keep running the stocks up.
So my view on it is, and now you've seen it's gone. The story has advanced to another level just today, where they've stopped trading these stocks at times, and then apps that were allowing the trade of the stocks that, Robinhood is the big app that most folks seem to be using, or many seem to be using, because they allow fractional shares and they revolutionize the stock market.
They made it super easy to just
where
buy
there
a
are
stock.
no trading fees.
Yep.
Right. And that caused TD Ameritrade and others to say, no more trading fees. You can do what you want. They called it democratizing the stock market.
Right.
So the average Joes like Jesse, Zach, and myself can make trades anytime we want to. So you don't have these big barriers to entry.
Yeah, and they still just make it on the sales.
Which is what these Reddit guys basically discovered, is that we can all say, hey, we're going to start this little club and we're going to invest and we're going to drive the price up.
And they drove it way up.
And then Elon Musk saw it and supported it. And then when Elon Musk gets involved, it draws everybody to it. Moth to a flame. So just to show the volatility of this thing today, it hit an all week low this morning at 11:20 of $126. 3 hours later, at 2:10 in the afternoon, it had a new all-time high for the stock ever at $492. And with 20 minutes to go in trading today, it was around $227 in my notes.
I think that I've been curious about this. I wonder how much the fractional share purchasing affects this, because, and this is the thing I have with crypto, right? So like the volatility to me, like everybody's like, I think it's interesting because people who don't mess with crypto but pay attention to the stock market are like, oh my God, the volatility. I'm like, this is just a Tuesday in the crypto world. Like, I am not like, who cares? We see inverted charts all the time and like, it's awesome. It's whatever. But I feel like that you can buy fractional shares, like means like you're still like, you can go in and be like, well, I'm going to buy $30 of it at $420 a share or whatever. Right. So it allows it, I feel like, to climb higher. Versus
because you don't have to
buy as much,
and more people can buy it at that point, at that price point.
And so that's why I think is pumping the markets more than people realize. Is like I think that's why crypto is that way, because you can buy fractions of things.
So today they said the Robinhood folks discontinued being able to buy more shares on their app of AMC Theaters and of GameStop. They said you can't do it anymore. More than half of their customers today, 56% of their customers, owned shares in GameStop. So they literally told their customers, hey, we're going to screw you guys. You're no longer going to be able to participate. It's not a free market because you can only sell. And when people can only sell, the price is going to go down. There have to be buyers and sellers for there to be even equilibrium. There have to be more buyers than sellers for the price to go up, right? So if you eliminate a shit ton of buyers, the stock price is automatically going to go down.
Yeah, and that's what I've said. And that's the same thing happens in crypto, right? So
in crypto, they tell people right now you can't buy Bitcoin.
That does happen, yeah.
They just say you can't do this.
Yeah, Coinbase is notorious for not letting you buy or sell shit sometimes. It's a big problem. And not just that, but when this happens, right, you essentially get a distributed DDoS, that's redundant, a distributed DOS attack, denial of service attack. So not because people are actually trying to attack them, but it's the whole, I forget what they call it for Reddit, but anyway, all the users are going into logging in and trying to perform actions. So your website gets underneath heavy load, and then it becomes unavailable. So like, not only like when the markets are volatile like this, not only will they stop sales, and part of that is to kind of some of the reason, I'm not sure if this is why, but some of that is to protect their system from falling over. So that might be why they did it. I don't know. I haven't looked into it, but that is why a lot of like the crypto exchanges do that. There's only one that I think that hasn't, which is like Binance or something. So it's kind of funny. Like I said, like everything that's going on here has been happening in crypto for at least 2 years. And it feels very similar to this problem. I need to read. I did not read about why Robinhood. I was trying to learn more about short selling, but today. So But yeah, I don't know. Like, I think it's interesting.
Well, there was a topic of conversation in like every group chat that I'm in, which are different groups of people that have different walks of life. Everybody knew about it.
Yeah.
So as soon as it becomes big news, then the website's obviously like, if they figured out like this is going to be a problem for us, then they're probably going to shut it down. Like, it makes sense. It's not fair, but it makes sense.
Yeah. Which is why
From
they're
a
letting
business perspective.
sales, and it's like it's kind of weird because how much is it they're just trying to protect people? Because this is the other thing is when people, and this happens in crypto. The worst time to buy crypto is when everyone's talking about it.
Right.
Yep.
But it's not their job to protect you. Right.
No, I agree.
You need to learn, and this is what I had.
Well, I think the SSC is going after them.
Yesterday was sometimes you have to get burned by a hot stove to realize that it's hot. It's
Right.
actually going to hurt you. Now, anybody that's paid any attention at all realizes that when everybody's talking about something that's going to record highs and nobody knows what's going to happen, there's going to be a
correction.
failure at some point. It's right. It's going to go down. And you have a company that is very obviously not worth what the market cap is, right?
They're not worth 3 cents.
Right.
But whatever.
You can look at it and you can recognize, and anybody that's putting their money into this has to recognize, and they have to be responsible for knowing that there's going to be a correction at some point.
Right.
Like it literally, like in 7th grade, you're going to learn in social studies that there was the same thing happened with tulips in the 1600s in Holland.
Yeah.
Right. Like this is literally tulip bulbs were this similar.
Well, tulip bulbs were a competing currency, but yeah.
But it was the same. It's
the same thing. Yeah.
You're trading in something, right?
Yep.
Whether it's shares of dollars, shares of Google stock, or shares of tulips, or somehow magically in 2021,
Any sort of asset.
a retail video game store.
Yeah. Who, like, I'm on. So you said that you like don't like these wealth fund managers. I like them if they're trying to short GameStop because that company needs to die. And I loved it because everybody's been screwed by GameStop. Everyone. You go in there with your game that you probably just bought and they're like, sorry, man, best I can do is $15.
So GameStop is literally doing the same thing that the college system did to people.
Right.
You're a 19-year-old kid. You 18-year-old kid, you just started your first semester, you go into the college bookstore and you spend $500 on a semester's worth of books.
Yep.
You go through the semester, you keep your books in pristine condition,
And then you sell them on the
and then
the
you
gray
sell
market.
them and they say, well, I don't need that book, or that book, and that one I can give you $10 for.
Yeah.
I'm like, 16 weeks ago, this was $500 and I'm going to leave here with $10?
Yep.
Screw you.
Yeah.
That's the GameStop.
That's
That's what they do.
That's what they do. And not only that, but most of the time they will sell you a brand new game that has already been opened. Then charge you new prices. You're like, this is not how this works, folks. And they'll sell like they're slimy, and I don't think they make commission, but maybe they do. I've only known one person that works there, or worked there. But a lot of times, like you would get like I would try to buy like hardware, like controllers or something, and they would be like the version behind that one. The PlayStation 3 is notorious for having like a bunch of different versions of their controller, and I thought I was getting like a DualShock 2, and it wasn't. Like they sold it as one, but it was just a regular one without the
full
DualShock.
nerd, man. You're going full nerd.
I know,
on me.
but I'm just saying, I hate that company.
So
And
you have
I
issues
would
with it.
love to short.
So
them.
you're the one guy that sees that, but I also understand that folks are saying, hey, this is a recognizable business. The companies that this Reddit group identified are those that were shorted, so heavily shorted positions and consumer type brands that were consumer facing,
Right.
that are easily recognizable. AMC movie theaters, GameStop.
Yeah,
The
but
ex-
the,
Oh,
Yes.
see, the AMC. I thought it was AMC, like the channel.
No, AMC movie theater.
Okay.
so
Gotcha.
but the other thing these have in common is like right now with the pandemic, with things the way they are, a lot of these businesses feel like they're not going to be doing so hot in 2020 because GameStop, you can order your game, like you can buy your game on your console now. Like
Right.
that's a thing. And then AMC, how many people have gone to a movie in the last year?
So
I haven't.
that's the other thing. GameStop has been working with the government to prevent game publishers from getting rid of physical copies. They are literally lobbying so that they can't do that, so that their market stays available.
Yeah,
Them people.
they're the record store of the 2000s.
Yeah, dude, their
business
they're
model
gross.
doesn't make sense.
Yeah,
right?
they're gross.
And as a person who just bought like a new gaming system, it makes no sense to buy the physical copy. All the advantages are buying a digital copy.
There are advantages.
The only
but
advantages that are there is that you do have something to sell. or
You have a
trade
resale
later.
value.
Yeah.
You can trade it with your friends,
But you
whereas-
don't sell it to GameStop. You sell it yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's the only reason I still buy physical game copies is if I know I'm going to if I know I'm going to play through it once, I will buy it new or used, whatever, and then I resell it so that I'm out a couple bucks versus 30. So, but that's the only, which is like most people, like, it's not worth my time, but I clearly don't care about that. So, but I think it's the most interesting part of this is the short squeeze that's going on versus like, and why, like, not only are they the ones, the price isn't just being driven up by Wall Street bets. It's being driven up by the hedge funds trying to cover their own ass from having to buy the stocks to cover what they're losing. So like, which is, and there's not enough in the market so that the prices keep going because these other guys are like, no, we're holding. Like,
well, that's exactly right. They are talking to each other and basically encouraging each other to hold your stock as long as you hold. If you've bought it, hold it. They can't get it. The price is going to keep going up.
Yeah,
and they're going to keep getting screwed.
Yeah,
because there was somebody shared a link of some guy whose son had turned like a couple $600 into like $60,000 or something like that. And he was like, just sell like $3,000 worth, just enough.
Cover like, what you put in it. He's
like, nope, sitting on it. He was just, he was refusing to even, I mean, that's the thing. It's like, who are they protecting? It's not the people who are buying in know exactly what they're doing. They know exactly what they're getting into. They know exactly why they're doing it. They're not buying it because they think they're going to make a bunch of money on it. They're buying it to mess with them.
Realize that they are just screwing certain folks
over.
And they say, you know what? I'm in for the cause. I put $500 into this thing and I'm going to ride it out and maybe I'll get my $500 back. Maybe I won't. But it's a crowdsourced, basically GoFundMe. And what I compared it to a penny auction. Back in the days of the Great Depression, you used to have a farm that would be mortgaged. A bank would come in to try to take the farm and sell everything on the farm to pay for the mortgage because there had been a downturn. The neighbors would come by, and instead of selling for market rates, the neighbors would come in and say, I'm going to give you a penny for that tractor. I'm going to give you, there would be no money in the market.
It's kind of like the tax sales that currently happen.
Right. Yeah. You would have very, very little money that actually comes back to the group that's owned. It's the same thing. And I think that the strategy of the Redditors was excellent in choosing companies that you actually care about and know about. Right. Because if they chose the company that I work for, nobody knows who the hell.
I wish they chose my company, right?
Right. Yeah. I was like, I
would be retired right now.
I still have some stock from the previous company I worked for. I'm like, guys, this is probably not right, but it'd be great if someone went into that chat room and said, hey, y'all should buy this thing.
You need to find someone who is active in the Wall Street bets, who's selling their user profile as an asset and buy it from them and be like, look, here's where we're going next.
Yeah. And that's probably where the jail time comes in.
But you don't work for them anymore.
No, right? I don't. But honestly, this is free speech. And that's the conversation that folks are having. The regulators are talking about coming in and saying, well, you can't collude like this. You guys can't decide to do this. And essentially what they've done is they created a book club where they talk about a stock. They encourage each other to buy the stock.
Right.
It increases.
And it's effective now because of how cheap communication is. Right. Like with the internet.
Right. So you've created access. There were so many barriers to entry in the past that you couldn't get into this. You couldn't do this. You had to be, if you watch the 80s movie with, Trading Places with Dan Aykroyd and it's Lewis and
Eddie Murphy,
Winthorpe and Valentine. They did the same thing with frozen concentrated orange juice. How you doing over there, Zach?
I'm a Mike's all cone cattywampus.
Do you want to lose the mic flag? If you lose the mic flag, you might be okay.
I'm good right now, I think.
You've got yours loaded in backwards. Dakota chooses. See, my mic flag is above.
Well, see, I tried to do that, and then it was like there's slack, and it wasn't sitting in it right. So, yeah.
I don't know. They're getting
the same way as that one.
Old and
you're actually the only one that's mic flag up. Everybody else is mic flag down.
I don't. Anyway, that's not good conversation for the podcast.
Yeah, but yeah, Trading Places, they manipulate stocks to get a certain, or they're manipulating commodities, but
futures in the frozen concentrated orange juice market.
Yeah, so you get the idea that kind of stuff's being manipulated all the time. It's just they're not fond of the people that had all the money, or they're the victims of it now, and they're not really. I don't think they're super excited about it.
Yeah,
and they realize how quickly and easily it can just be done over and over again. Like I bet that they're just thinking we can't do anything now because, I mean, somebody on Reddit was smart enough to look and see that these places were really heavily shorted on these certain businesses.
And shame on the hedge funds to be that heavily into that position. Some folks are worried about their 401k, saying, oh my God, this is going to ruin my 401k. If you look at your 401k, you're probably in 3 or 4 different mutual funds, and a mutual fund is in 80 to 100 to 150 items in it. So you're most likely spread across hundreds of companies.
Well, you're going to be your
okay.
401k is not in any hedge fund, is it?
No, your 401k is in stocks.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, hedge
Stocks
fund is
or
what you
bonds or
do,
whatever.
like, with spare money. Like,
Right, but
it's a hedge.
Theoretically, a hedge fund is what's invested in Gamestop stock, right?
No, I agree.
If your 401k, if some guy that's running one of the mutual funds that you're in decided, hey, I'm going to get in this, and they get burned, say they were trying to ride it
on
up
the correction.
And then when the correction happens and they lose a bunch of money, you're going to be okay.
Yeah.
You're going to be okay. Because if you're buying mutual funds, you're not buying single stocks, which are kind of risky anyway to start with.
Right.
They're speculative. They could be great and people like to talk about them, but the guy that's getting rich slow is the guy who's every week continuing to buy index funds, mutual funds, whatever it is. You're just continuing to buy that in your 401k very generically. If it's down, then it's on sale, and it just continues to grow.
On
your
paper,
dollar cost averaging.
On paper, if you just put your money in an index fund, you will beat more than most day traders.
Yeah,
because it grows at like 11% or something every year, 12%. Something.
Those guys are professionals that run them. They take a little cut. That run the mutual fund.
They're not trying to get rich. They're just trying to keep wealth and grow slowly. I don't know. Like I said, it's interesting, and it's very similar to the crypto world. So welcome to the crypto feels. Like that's what it feels like every day. And those markets are smaller market caps, and like the whales run the show there. So it's insane. Like people will move in with like hundreds of thousands or millions of dollars and just rip it out of the market immediately. And you're like, guys, holy cow. Like it's like my stocks have jumped from 9 cents in September, and we've reached 42, and now we're back down to 35. But in between now and that's been since September. And then that right now, like one of the ones I'm bullish on, right, is it's at 35, but it was at 28 cents last week, and it was down to 34 cents yesterday. Like, and it's like, I don't know, or not 34, sorry, 31. So like when we look at percentages, it's the same kind of volatility. It's crazy.
I like that there's access and the average person can do this if they want to. It's not the way I choose to spend my time or want to spend my time. For the fun of it this week, I did buy the 1 share of Express just to see what would happen. And I think
what is Express?
A store. The retail
like
store.
the men's retail store.
Yeah,
okay.
the retail store. Because that was another one of them on the list. It wasn't nearly as popular, but I bought it at like $6.50 on Wednesday, yesterday. And I set up in the computer, hey, if this gets to $12, sell it. So I made like $5 or whatever. And I think it got to 14 and then it dropped back down to like 5.
Yeah.
So I bought it a little higher than other people did, and I sold it before, and it was, it turned out fine. But I wanted to do it just to
be a part
experience the process and
Have you ever done that ever?
I bought a couple of single stocks. So basically what happened is I rolled my HSA money, my little healthcare savings account that I can't put any more money into.
Yeah, you can only invest it.
It's in an investment account. And then I can only buy whole shares in this thing in the TD Ameritrade account that's there. So I have whole shares in some sort of a mutual fund, and it pays a dividend. I don't have enough money in there to buy another share of this thing, and I can only buy fractional shares. So I'm like, all right, well, there's $30 there. Yeah. So I can buy a share of Express, or I could buy a couple shares of this thing or that thing.
When you sell that stuff, and this is kind of getting in the weeds and not necessarily on topic, but sort of because it's just like investment talk at this point.
Sure.
Because I'm curious about the HSA. So when you put it into the market, when you sell that, does that mean it comes back into your HSA account?
Yeah.
Because
it's just the bucket.
Yeah. And so you just have this like
the magic of it, right? The magic of it is it's triple tax advantage, right? So like it was deducted from your paycheck and you didn't get taxed on it federally. Yep.
It grows untaxed.
You invest it, no taxes at all.
Right.
And then if you actually decide you're going to spend it, there's no taxes on the medical spending either. And then if you go through your entire life and you never spend it, it now becomes a 401k and it gets taxed as income at the end.
I guess I didn't. I've just talked to my wealth manager and I did not. We talked about that, but I was like, I don't know how much I have to get to where I can start putting it in the market. So
Jared, what I'm hearing is if you get really good at this day trading thing
don't count
and then
on
you die, I'm in good shape.
We're talking I made $6 day trading this week in a once in a life pandemic Reddit fueled rage.
So you're saying I can go for the fluoride when I go to the dentist next time?
Nice.
Theoretically, but I mean, it would not make sense to unplug it from the market. It's doing so well, dear.
She's like, she wants to unplug you.
do you guys know any day traders like actively?
No.
Nope. I used to work for one on the side, and one of the first times he calls me, I was like, he's the whole, hey man, how's it going? He's like, well, I just lost $13,000 today. It's not a great day. And I go, and obviously to some day traders, that's still a good day. I'm like, I just like my young mind is like 21. It's like, there's no way I could lose $13,000. Yeah. But now that
have you checked your couch cushions?
Yeah.
Where did it go?
But like, again, I get, the company I pay for, it has some sort of like options or whatever. And, yeah, I've lost a lot like that before in like weeks. And you're just like, God, this is really painful.
You didn't lose it, right? You still own the same. So the value may have gone down. If you didn't sell it, you didn't lose it.
Yeah, no.
The value on
so
paper
I talk
changed.
about portfolio value a lot. I don't obviously the goal is to have a big portfolio. I don't like selling it is not necessarily like what I'm interested in.
You're not retiring today. You'll be okay.
Not only because I didn't buy GameStop.
It's like one of those days where like Facebook has a rough day and they're like, Mark Zuckerberg lost like $12 billion today. And you're like, he lost what? And like, yeah, he lost billions of dollars in net worth. Yeah. Like in hours because he said the wrong thing in front of Congress.
Or
people
it's like,
people just don't like him.
Or it's the reverse of kind of like the whole Tesla thing, which just happened also, and where Elon like jumped up ahead of like everyone in like hours. He became the richest man in the world.
So here's my prediction or my concern, my theory as to what's going to happen is that you're going to see these barriers to entry come back.
Oh yeah.
So Robinhood created market pressures that caused everybody to eliminate their trading fees. I think what you're going to see happen is that it's now going to cost money to trade again. And it may not be an $8 cost to trade. It might be, okay, little person, if you really want to trade, Zach, it's going to cost you $100 to make that trade so that it's going to be the big boys playing. Or you can't buy, let alone fractional shares, you can't buy single shares anymore. You need to buy at least $1,000 worth of something, or you need to buy at least 100 shares of something, not one share for $3 and have fun or do what you want. We're going to keep you little people out of this.
I just think that they're going to get rid of fractional sharing. I think, and I would be more surprised if they don't get rid of the individual at all, and you have to buy through as like a group,
a licensed organization.
Yeah, like you have to affiliate with something and. You would go in with them so that you get like consensus that you're not going to try to manipulate the markets.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
What do you think, Zach?
They'll figure something out. This won't be allowed to happen again.
Well,
they'll find a way to get around it.
AOC and Ted Cruz are on the same page, so things are not good for us.
She was not. She was not happy
like,
about being on the same page with him, though.
I'm surprised she didn't flip her response. Actually, this is great.
She basically said, "You tried to get me murdered last week."
Yeah,
and you haven't even apologized to like anybody yet. So I'll talk to any other Republicans, but I won't talk to you.
The savagery was
yeah.
real.
She went off on like was kind of scanning Twitter, and I caught her right on that one. I was like, oh, she's fired up at him, and yeah, she wasn't happy. She's like, I'm not dealing with you. I'll deal with somebody else.
Steve Scalise never weighed in though. After surviving a gunshot wound as a baseball player in Congress, he's probably the one guy that could have said something in return. All right. Been a wild week.
Yeah.
Been a wild week. The Olympics are supposed to be this year.
Well, they're supposed to be last year.
They're promised for this year. China's supposed to host them. Did you see what
China or Tokyo?
Tokyo.
It's all the same. China, Beijing, whatever. It's a different time.
Beijing just had it.
It means I have to watch it in the middle of the night. Summer Olympics, where have they been? They've been in Los Angeles, Atlanta.
You mean in the U.S.?
In the U.S., yeah.
Atlanta, L.A.
I only know of Atlanta because there was a terrorist thing.
Richard Jewell bombing. 2000, they were in Sydney. They were in Athens, 2004. They were in Australia, right? 2008, Sydney.
Yeah, I have a hard time
I don't.
Sarah, this is my skill that Sarah
Olympic.
never understands, that I remember these things.
Well, I don't care about
Well,
the
you're
Olympics.
wrong about Sydney, I'm pretty sure.
When were they in Sydney?
Sydney was,
2000.
yeah, it was 2000.
2000
the
Summer
millennium.
Olympics.
Yeah, because it was like,
They were in Athens in 2004.
yep.
Where were they in 2008?
Great Britain in 2012.
London, yeah.
The London Games.
I know that 1998.
They were in Rio, 2016 Rio.
I believe so.
And so they were Beijing was like 2008 then.
I know in 1998, the Winter Olympics were in
Nagano.
because there was
Japan.
a video game that I had that was called Nagano Olympics on the Nintendo 64.
Yes, 2008 they were in Beijing. And then 2020 they were supposed to be in Tokyo.
92 they were in Barcelona.
That's correct.
I can't remember all.
What about 88? You got 88?
Calgary was the Winter Olympics in 88.
The Winter Olympics were not in 88, so
Yeah, they were.
No.
no, the
She's getting
Summer
ready to learn.
Olympics were in 88.
She's getting ready to learn that they used to run them the same time, then
Did
they
they
switched.
really?
Yes.
Well, this is before my lifetime. It doesn't count.
Yes. They had Calgary, Lillehammer.
I remember.
So
Lillehammer.
where were the Summer Olympics in 88?
Probably Kentucky.
No, they were in 84. They were in Los Angeles.
Yes.
88. Were they in Sarajevo?
No. They were in South Korea.
Oh, 80. They were in
Seoul.
80. When were they in Sarajevo? 80 or 76?
I think it was 80 because that would have been, because 76 was in Montreal.
There we go. Yes, of course. I've been to the Olympic Center.
Yeah, I don't know. I am not a big Olympic guy, so
I still haven't been to Canada other than by water.
So all my Olympic knowledge is because we grew up in northern New York,
close to
right by Lake Placid,
yeah.
which is home to the 1980 and 1932 Winter Olympics. So yeah, they're and then in my very formative years, Sarah, they ran the Winter Olympics 4 years in a row. You got 88, 92, and 94, I believe was the Winter Olympics.
I was on
Oslo,
Summer
Norway.
Olympics
There we go.
Wikipedia
Yes,
page,
or
so-
Oslo, Norway. Very, very correct. I think that was our bonus Olympics was Oslo.
So you said that Florida is going to try to take it from Tokyo?
So basically they're raising their hand and saying, hey, we can host them.
Sure.
Costs billions of dollars to host. It takes years of preparation. We're in a pandemic. But why the hell not? We'll just say, let's just put it all at the Miami Dolphins Stadium
Well, I think
and call it good.
well, you, remember when wherever it was in Russia, the Winter Olympics were in Russia.
Sochi.
Yeah, and like it was just terrible. Like from what I remember, I remember everyone just shitting on how bad it was at Sochi. Like the restrooms were terrible.
Well, and they did the Winter Olympics in a coastal town that was a desert, and the actual like facilities were like 3 hours away in the mountains.
I think there was even a picture of like in a bathroom, and it was like two toilets, and they were almost touching at 90-degree angles, and you're like, "That's not flying." No, even the Rio Games, they said was like it looked good. They pulled it together, but like they did not build the infrastructure needed to any kind of like permanent. Because a lot of places will build this stuff out, and then they have a plan for using after it, and like some of the stuff in the Rio Games was not built to be used afterwards. It was just
It was a one-time use.
it was
sort of
it was like
situation.
single use apartment complexes for the athletes and stuff that were gonna like fall apart when it was all said and done.
So Jimmy Patronis sent a letter. He is the chief financial officer for the state of Florida, an unsolicited letter to the Olympic Committee, and saying, "Hey, would love to take these off your hands." Basically, because there are apparently media reports that there are private concerns about hosting the Olympics this August in Japan. And in his letter, he outlined that they did the UFC championship in Jacksonville and the Orlando NBA bubble. So
Same thing.
They can, no problem at all.
It's not even close to the same thing.
We would love to
It's
host
exactly the same.
75 events, and we'll stick them all over the state.
From people coming from all over the world.
Donald Trump has probably offered up his personal Olympic swimming pool at
Mar-a-Lago
at Mar-a-Lago.
had the shot put throw out
Be
there.
the greatest Olympics ever.
You think about the infrastructure needed for an Olympics, and you're just like, we're good. January, we can do it. We can do it this
pull
summer.
together in a couple
Like the
weeks.
last couple have barely gotten pulled together without a pandemic, and with like, what do you get like 8 or 10 years heads up?
Yeah, you get like a decade.
Yeah, you get like a decade
There's
heads
extra
up.
money. There's billions of dollars that has to be fundraised or stolen from citizens of the state.
And Florida man's like, I got it.
In Tokyo,
hey, I
they
was
had
thinking-
just had the Olympics
Hold
back
my
in
beer.
'64. So they should have the facility, right?
I was thinking maybe we could do the rowing in the Everglades amongst the gators.
Extra points if you catch a snake while you're down there because there's a price on those. That sounds.
I think they should do it. I have confidence. That he's not going to be able to do it, and I want to watch the train wreck.
Just watch the dumpster fire.
I'm going to short the Olympics in Florida.
Oh my God! It just sounds like a terrible idea, but of course Florida signs up for it.
Yeah, well,
put them at the front of the line.
I love it.
It would be hilarious to watch because it'd be maybe just throw some guys and put them in shirts like they're from different countries and dress them funny, like do a Borat Olympics.
I feel like it would be like the fire festival, but on a bigger scale. They're like, we've got tents. I know it's really windy and there's a hurricane coming, but you're going to be all right. And you're like, everybody's like, we're getting.
That's an excellent point. That is right at the tip of the spear of hurricane season too. Summer, right? Like that is August. I think is August, September. Yeah. I know Hurricane Katrina came through in September.
It was August,
like Labor Day
because it was right by my birthday.
I had some friends that were going on a cruise around that time, and they said we always wondered why we never did this, and they scheduled a cruise that in September. And now we know why we couldn't do it because I think when they were due to go on their cruise, there were like 3 hurricanes stacked up in the Atlantic there.
You always go in the winter because you're already depressed. You just want to get some sunshine, and then you go and you enjoy yourself.
If you're going to take a cruise in the summertime, go to Alaska, go to the Caribbean in the wintertime. That's correct. That's my official advice. All right, Sarah, we're at the point in the show where we need to do final thoughts.
Okay.
How'd you do? Did you enjoy this?
Yeah.
Was it worth your time?
Yeah.
How much wine's left in your bottle?
It's like halfway.
Half bottle of wine?
A little less than half.
You're driving us home.
No, you are. You only had one beer.
I think you should call an Uber.
I'm working on my second one. Well, we brought Zach so he can drive us, and then he can just walk home from our house.
There you go.
It's about the same distance.
We're gonna take you home, but you have to walk from our house to your house.
It's honestly the same distance. I'd wave at my house halfway home, halfway to your house.
Joe Tompkins says new event, Gator Wrestling. All right, Sarah, what are you promoting over there?
Absolutely nothing.
Yeah, nothing.
I just want people to answer my phone calls tomorrow. That's all.
Oh boy. Yeah, you're selling stuff. What if people need a salesman? They should contact you.
If they need recruiting services, they should call me.
Are you out on your own now?
No, we are in a lull right now. Okay. So the programs I was working on, they have just kind of paused for a moment.
Gotcha.
Because of the FDA is not doing their job.
Sarah is cold calling. She's that person that's calling your company.
We need more info because we didn't actually go tour your facility, and then the companies have to wait to release their drug because they don't have approval yet.
Gotcha.
So that's what's happening. And since we're mainly pharma, now they're like, okay, well, what can we have you do in the meantime before these jobs actually get filled and we get more business? Because a lot of people are pretty much in a pause right now in the pharma world, which like one of the bigger pharma companies just laid off about 46% of their sales force, which is that's a lot.
That's scary for a sales guy.
Yeah. It is scary for a sales guy. But anyways, so now they have us doing some kind of inside sales where we're kind of looking at leads that we've had from the past, people that we've worked with and tried to recruit before to see if they know if their company has any recruiting needs.
So if you're doing some staffing, reach out to Sarah and she might be able to hook you up with a whole network.
Yep. We do all kinds of industries, about 9 or 10 different ones. Senior
Riddle, what do you know? Have you launched assholes with a microphone? What's your podcast going to be called?
We're going to change it. So because I think I've said it on here, but I might have said it in private. But we didn't think Buttholes from Hell would sell.
Yes, that was it.
Well on iTunes, or if iTunes would even let us have it on there. So I was like, well, I'm going to have to change the name. So we're thinking about changing it. Possibly just 2 dudes at the same time.
What if you bring in a third once in a while?
Well, they're going to be on 2 dudes at the same time.
That sounds a little racy.
Well,
hopefully you got to get the clicks.
So
you got to get the clicks.
So, we want it to have a lot of comedy, and that seems pretty funny. I don't know. I was like, I was watching something and I saw the gif of, what's his face from, Office Space when he's talking about, hey man, what would you do with $1 million? He's like,
Dietrich Bader.
I'll tell you what I do. 2 chicks at the same time.
I believe that's Dietrich Bader.
He's like, you don't need $1 million.
He played Jethro Bodine in the Beverly Hillbillies.
Yeah. So anyways, I think I was playing Rocket League with Mark and I was like, just two dudes at the same time, man. So, and then there's so many,
very Knightstown of you guys.
There's so many innuendos and,
Two guys, one mic.
yeah. Well, so there's that. There's two bears, one cave, or some shit like that, right?
That's
so
Tom Segura.
yeah, and so somebody's like, "Oh, it kind of sounds like that." And I'm like, "Well, I don't know." It's like it's really funny to be like, "Yeah, I was on two dudes at the same time," or "Have you ever heard? I'm really into two dudes at the same time." Like, there's a lot of like funny things that would be coming.
Have you ever listened to two dudes at one time?
Yeah, it's gonna be great. So I don't know. Hopefully, that's what we do.
So what's the launch date? When are we doing this?
Well, I gotta work with Mark, man. It's not
you guys have been talking about this for
He's
years.
been really
I've got to
busy.
shame you into it.
Well, so you haven't been to my house, but all the gear is there. Like it's sitting on my floor right there.
Just need an invite.
Mark's been really busy though.
I will produce your first episode.
He's been working on a lot of it.
I will be your Juice in the morning. I will sit there like Juice does for the highly inappropriate.
Yeah.
And I'll sit there and produce your first one.
Yeah.
And then I'll flake out every episode.
Well, we've recorded two, but they were both really bad and there was no guest. So it was like very boring, arguably. And so I just need to reach out to some people, the people I want to interview, and because it's going to be more interviewee than like news based.
I will say it is tough to start a podcast in a pandemic. Keeping this one, thank God we have
that's
the
why we
infrastructure
haven't done anything.
Right?
Yeah.
Thank God we have the infrastructure we do here at Boss Hog, and it's very obvious that we are not trying to get guests to come from a long distance away, because at any moment I could find out, oh my God, we're sick and we have to pull the plug for today, and that kills like 3 weeks.
Right.
So it is very problematic to schedule a bunch of guests back to back to back. So it has been a keep the wheels on, baling wire and duct tape pandemic podcast, but we've made it happen, but it's because we have the infrastructure.
Yeah, and there's a problem with the framework I want to use, because I want to kind of talk to like entrepreneurs and entertainers and stuff, local and Midwest, to kind of like get. I'm sure there's many people with the same framework or ideas, right? But like to get
Don't give it away.
No, I know, but it's fine. No, I wouldn't.
trust
Hopefully
my
they
listeners.
do. But anyways, so but my point is like you can like some of the most advice in podcasting is like, hey, like record 5 episodes or more before you go live, which is fine, and then you have a buffer, right, that you can work with. So if you don't get somebody for 1 week, you're not screwed. The problem that you end up having is if you're talking to people who have launch dates on certain things or certain event nights, you have to have the podcast happen within that window so that when people hear it, it's not past that time.
Right.
Because then like that just destroys your like credibility.
And you can't assume that your podcast is going to age well either. So
Right.
you've got to time it right and hope that your folks listen to it.
Well, that's why I don't.
That's
That's why I don't really want like a lot of current news. I mean, there will be some in there, right? When you talk about regulators and regulations and crap, and some laws, but a lot of it should be almost evergreen-esque.
So we tried to say, about a year ago, we did a bunch of evergreen episodes here because we were going to be off for a couple of weeks because Dakota was going to have the lovely baby Jackson.
Yeah.
And then we had pandemic. So
He's
the whole
almost
world-
1 now.
I know. We did those. We just did those evergreens 1 year ago this week.
Yeah. Did he put cheese on his baby face when that was a thing? Because somebody shared their photos of their child today and it had cheese on their face. It's like, why the fuck is this baby?
I think they gave him,
but it was like a meme that
pickles.
went around for a minute.
Yeah,
I
there was a
forgot
thing
all
about there was a thing which
lemons.
just throwing like a slice of cheese on their face and just seeing what the reaction was.
You should do that to Jackson when you get home. To
I
your
have
Jackson.
no idea.
You don't remember this?
No.
Oh,
I must have been. The internet happens so fast.
It is,
man.
dude.
It just,
That was
it's
people did
literally-
it to their dogs too.
Yeah, they would do
There'd be
it
a
to
picture of like a
dogs.
dog just. It might even started with dogs.
I think it started.
and then people
putting
start
on
doing it
babies.
to their kids because parents are assholes sometimes, and it's fun to be mean to your kids the way that they're mean to you sometimes.
Yeah.
little rage coming out of Zachary. All right, man. You got anything to promote? What are we doing?
No, nothing to promote. L&K beef. Go get some from Cade. Keep them going. I had a brain in my thought and cheese on the face. Just swiped it out of there. So
My
that's
bad.
all I got. That's fine. No, because I'm picturing like all
You
the
should have
dogs
said
and all the
sliced
kids.
it out of there. But
Oh yeah, the one thing that was
Just got graded away.
I had this interesting thing where I have to keep track of what I do during the day because I'm at home and nobody can supervise me. And so I started numbering them. And Jackson's birthday, Jackson's birthday coming up, reminded me that I'm on week 43 of working from home. And there was 2 weeks before that. So like, if you know anybody with like a 5-week-old baby, we are now in the pandemic baby phase where,
Are we?
yeah, because 40 weeks. So at 40 weeks, so like 5 weeks ago is when that window would have opened where now the kids are like early shut down kids. So I was like, oh yeah. I was like, and I mentioned that to my supervisor actually brought that up. We had to talk about something else. And she's like, oh, thanks for numbering them. So yeah, I always know. I'm like, oh yeah, week 43. So we're 45 weeks in since the governor shut everything down initially.
I do enjoy the tweets, the viral tweets. And it was a journal, the journal tweets. Pandemic day 25. I made bread.
Oh yeah, this is great. Yeah.
Day 95. I sure do miss my friends. Many, many, many dots. Day 310. The White House appears to be under control of a shirtless man in a Viking helmet, which was Jesse. Day 330. Reddit's coordinated attack on Wall Street is going as planned. This is how far we've come.
I love it. Like the world is literally flipped on upside down. I know we're trying to shut down, so I'm not going to say anything. But I forgot what I was going to say too. But
that's okay. You guys are
what's
awesome.
Your final thought.
Thank you all for supporting the show. It's been awesome. We are very appreciative. If you have feedback, I don't give the email address out enough. Jeremiah at bosshogofliberty.com. Let me know what you think. What you want to hear, who you want to hear from, who your favorite guests are we haven't had back in a while. I'm going to be first in line for the vaccine. Zachary, the vaccine. As soon as they make the vaccine available, I'm going to get it. And I hope our guests will too. And we're going to start bringing people back through.
Well, apparently there's a thing, and my mom heard about it, and I saw somebody did an article about it. So it's not like a hidden thing where you can get like on the
wait list.
The wait list, or like, and so what'll happen is that it doesn't matter how old you are or anything. They get to the end of the day and they're like, we got 5 doses. People didn't show up.
Come on in.
They start calling people, and you don't have to meet the age criteria at that point. They'll just call whoever they can get available.
I would love to get on that list.
Get me on the list, yeah.
Sign me up.
Yeah, because
I will drop anything and be there in 20 minutes.
Yeah, because they open them all up, and like they don't want them to go bad.
Once they're open, they have to use them. So yeah, that's a thing that they probably should be. I mean, one thing that may be directed towards teachers. I saw that Ohio has pulled doses out of the general population just to get to teachers so they can get their schools opened up. Indiana isn't going to do that apparently, but it's getting Holcomb real popular with the teachers again. But yeah,
well,
get on
he's
that
a
list.
Republican, so he's not popular anyways.
I was going to say, I got a Snapchat from a teacher who goes, "This guy's an asshat," or something like that.
He's not endearing himself to that group at all.
No.
Yeah, he won with record numbers. Apparently, he doesn't need their vote. And he's never running for re-election again. He's done. He's term limited.
Done,
he's happy. And unless he wants to be a senator, he's probably good to go. All right. You guys are awesome. Thank you for supporting the show. We'll be back next week. We'll see what happens.
Thank you for listening to the Boss Hog of Liberty, which is part of the We Are Libertarians network. I am Chris Spangle, and I am the founder of this network, and I invite you to listen to all of our shows, which you can find at WeAreLibertarians.com or by searching for these in your podcatcher. The flagship show is the We Are Libertarians podcast, where we apply libertarian principles to current events. The Brian Nichols Show is a conversation amongst Republicans, Democrats, Libertarians, Independents, as they talk about what is happening in the news. And we have many other podcasts like The Chris Spangle Show, Upward, The Cost, Raw Audio Politics, Miranda's World, and Tad Talk, which is quite a ride. So check all of these out. Go to WeAreLibertarians.com and you can check out all of our great podcasts. Thanks for listening. Thank you for listening to the We Are Libertarians Network. Get our other shows at WeAreLibertarians.com.